Is there a way to objectively know what matters at long range? Turns out there is. Enter WEZ, or Weapon Employment Zone, built by Applied Ballistics. WEZ is a computer application that allows users to perform a shot simulation. It allows you to input your target size, target distance, and the type of bullet you are using for your application. Additionally, WEZ allows the user to input rifle precision, plus muzzle velocity, bullet drag, and wind speed uncertainties. These are what's called confidence parameters. When all of these values are entered in, you are assigned a hit percentage. While there are many more confidence parameters to consider, these are the primary ones we will focus on. What's the point of all of this? Well, WEZ helps us to determine what is really important at extreme long range. For example, is it better to shoot a bullet traveling at 3,100 feet per second with 1.5 MOA of precision and a standard deviation of 20 feet per second? Or is it better to shoot a bullet traveling at 2,900 feet per second with 1 MOA of precision and a standard deviation of 15 feet per second? WEZ provides an objective answer. We'll use this software to guide us towards what is important at long range, and later in the video, we'll select a bullet for the Nightforce ELR Steel Challenge match this June. To set up the simulation, we need to input our target size and distance. According to Nightforce ELR competitor Francis Cologne, in an interview with AccurateShooter.com, the average target size was 1.5 MOA, and the average distance of the targets were 1,200 yards. We'll use these metrics to start our simulation. Now that we have our target size and average distance figured out, it's time to start isolating our confidence parameters. We'll start with rifle precision, with no other parameters considered. Now, there's a lot of dogma surrounding the level of precision that you need to hit targets at extreme long range. And turns out you don't need a rifle that shoots small in order to be successful at long range. A rifle precision of 0.25 to 0.75 MOA have a 100% hit probability, while a 1 MOA level of precision drops us down to 99%. A 1.5 MOA system yields a 91% hit rate, and a 2 MOA system yields us a hit rate of 74%. So clearly, you don't need a rifle that shoots tiny holes to hit targets at long range. However, there is a caveat to all of this information. This simulation, one, assumes that your rifle is perfectly zeroed, and two, it assumes that you are breaking all of your shots in the center of the target. If either of those things aren't true, then a rifle that shoots smaller than 1 MOA will help your hit probability. Next, we'll isolate standard deviation at 1,200 yards. To achieve a 100% hit probability, our load would need to produce a standard deviation of 9 feet per second. A 20 foot per second standard deviation results in an 82% hit probability. 25 foot per second standard deviation gives 72%. 30 foot per second gives 63%. At longer ranges, the effect becomes even worse. At 2,000 yards on a 1.5 MOA target, a standard deviation of 20 foot per second yields a 40% hit probability, while a 30 foot per second standard deviation drops to an abysmal 27%. Bullet drag variability is our next confidence parameter. All environmental conditions, velocities, and components being equal. When we talk about bullet drag variability, we're referring to how consistent our drag characteristics are from shot to shot. High-quality bullets typically have a drag variability below 1%, and lower quality bullets will have a drag variability over 3%. At 1,200 yards, a 1% drag variability will yield us a hit percentage of 100%. 2% gives us 96%, 3% gives us 83%, 4% gives us 69%, and 5% is a hit percentage of 58%. What about 2,000 yards? A drag variability of just 1% brings our hit percentages down to 57%. At 3% variability, it cuts our chances all the way down to 18%. In order to achieve a 100% hit probability, isolating drag variation, you would need a bullet with a 0.3% drag variation. Next, we'll create a list of potential bullets we can use and compare wind speed uncertainty values. You'll notice that if our wind speed uncertainty is high, our hit percentage suffers. And as our wind speed confidence grows, so does our hit percentage. First up is the Hornady 190 grain A-tip, which has a G7 BC of 0.417. A wind speed uncertainty of 4 miles per hour equals a hit percentage of 27%. 3 miles per hour equates to 35%. 2 miles per hour equates to 51%. And 1 mile per hour is at 83%. These numbers also factor in wind angle. So if you guess the wind angle and wind speed within 1 mile per hour, your likelihood of a first round hit is 83% when you isolate for wind speed uncertainty. And as we go down to different bullets, you'll see that as the G7 BC goes down, so do our hit percentages at every level of uncertainty. What kind of surprised me was how well our hit percentages are holding up, even with BCs as low as 345. High ballistic coefficients are important, but the biggest improvement you can make in terms of wind drift is by making better wind calls. Even with our best performing bullet, the 190 grain A-tip, a change from a 1 mile per hour wind speed uncertainty to 2 miles per hour, we see a 38% drop in our hit probability. Bottom line, BC matters, but practice matters way more. Personally, I'm going to be shooting the Berger 195 grain Extreme Outer Limits bullet. Berger advertises that their bullets hold under a 1% variation in shot-to-shot drag variability. It's one of Berger's only 7mm bullets that isn't regularly out of stock. And this bullet is much more affordable than the Hornady 190 grain A-tip. But honestly, most of these heavy 7mm bullets will do the job at this match. To summarize, number 1, extremely small groups are not necessary unless you have an imperfect zero or bad trigger pulls. Number 2, standard deviation is more important than bullet drag variability at shorter ranges. At longer ranges, both are critical, and exact numbers will depend heavily on your situation. And number 3, high BCs help with wind speed uncertainties, but proper wind reading and practice overtakes everything. No surprise there. If any of you have questions about WES or hit percentages, please let me know down in the comments. I know this is kind of a complicated topic, so I don't want to leave anyone behind. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.